I don't know about doing any like big intros today about like what we're gonna do and things. I don't know if we
Welcome
should
to
just
the
go for
Weekly
it.
Quacker number 15. Was it number 15?
I have literally no idea, but I love your enthusiasm. Straight onto the subject.
Straight on to the subject. Yeah. Let's not
Straight onto
waste
the
any time.
subject.
Yeah.
No time wasted here. Okay, Niels. Very recently, Zack Snyder's Justice League came out.
Of
Who
course.
doesn't know about this in the world?
Of
Everybody
course.
knows.
Yeah,
So we're not
it's
going
been
to try and
chilled
tell you the
for
story behind it.
months and years, and if we finally got it, I haven't realized that it's been 4 years until the original before the original Justice League movie came out. It was 2017. That can't be right,
That
is it?
It's absolute insanity when you think about it.
4 years.
But
Yeah.
we're not going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about the original Justice League later. First of all, I just want to get out the way. Zack Snyder's Justice League. The title of the podcast is going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League: The Beginning or the End. We're going to get to that later as well. But Zack Snyder's Justice League, Niels, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely yes. I enjoyed it very much. Do have some gripes, but all in all, it's a definite yes.
Well, we'll get to those gripes later. And for me, absolute yes as well. I'm going to be totally honest. I did go in wanting to like this movie. I'm not going to hide that. I really, really wanted to like it. That said, I saw a few bits that I was like, oh, maybe not for me. However, absolute yes as well. So now we've got that out of the way, that we both like the movie. I don't think, by the way, before we go on to the next subject, I don't think that's just me and you. I think that's the general consensus of everybody, which is surprising.
I have not had a look at the
Like-
Rotten Tomatoes scores. Let's see. Justice
Wait,
League.
you tell me, because I remember what it was currently, but I'm not going to ruin it for you, and then you can tell me
All
what it is
right.
as well.
2021. I fucked that up. All right, so I'm at
You gotta Google. You gotta search. Yeah.
IMDb. It's at 8.3 stars out of 10.
Damn. Pretty good.
That is actually
Pretty
pretty
good,
good.
actually.
Yeah, for IMDb. I don't see.
Yeah,
a
that's pretty
Rotten Tomatoes
strong.
Score.
It's around 92% for fans.
All right. So yeah, no, it's great. I'd say an 8 out of 10, or this is like a 4 out of 5 in a rating. Does actually really actually quite accurately represent my view of the movie as well. It's like it's not a perfect movie by any stretch, but it's a really, really good movie.
I actually completely agree. I don't think by any stretch is it a perfect movie, but I think when you take into account everything that went into it, it's a very, very good movie.
And not
we'll
just
move
that.
on to our second point.
It's when you have a movie that is over 4 hours long and you don't feel like it is 4 hours long. I think that alone is a sign of a movie that is well made and well paced.
I think that is actually a very good point that people aren't like talking about enough. This is a 4-hour movie, and I watched it, and I'll be honest. There were a few bits that I was like, I could see why maybe some, especially a production company that wants to turn over money, is saying, oh, could you knock it down a little bit? But I'm also, on the other hand, I see the director's vision of being like, well, there was a lot of stuff you couldn't cut out of this movie, and we'll get to get on to our second point of this is exactly why I'm bringing up this comparison between the theatrical cut and this cut. There were full characters that were cut out of that theatrical cut.
Absolutely.
Like,
and there were not only a few characters cut out from the theatrical cut, and whole characters included in the theatrical cut that did not make it into the Snyder cut, rightfully so. If you remember this Russian family that still lived in this Chernobyl town, whatever, that they had to save for whatever reason, that whole section
that was insane.
Gone. That whole section.
It was so pointless, though. It was so pointless. When you were watching the other cut, it was so, like, I remember watching it in theaters and thinking, like, why is this in here? Because it wasn't adding anything. But that's going to lead back in, and I'll come back to it. That actually replaced one of my favorite scenes from this movie.
Yeah.
It was clearly there for a purpose. But in comparison to, let's just say, in comparison to theatrical cut, I remember I went into the cut. It was tough because I was hoping it would be good, so I kind of came away with that blind, oh, it wasn't that bad. You came out of the theatrical cut being like, this is garbage. I remember.
I don't remember it all. Like 4 years ago, I didn't really enjoy it. I think there was a lot of cheesy lines, and it's a remnant of its time. Marvel really, really picked it up at this point, and the Guardians of the Galaxy influence was in every single superhero movie, and they just tried to force that into Justice League as well. You can see it in the color grading. You can see it in the humor that they tried to bring around with Justice League. It just tried to be Marvel and failed miserably at that, worse enough. And that's why it really didn't resonate with me at all the first time I saw it.
Well, I also think the part that didn't resonate with me, which was, again, I remember liking it. It was a nice night out. I remember the problem was going into that film, you didn't have any of the information behind it, really. At the time, it was Joss Whedon had come in to save this movie. Because, if you remember, everyone was saying Zack Snyder had chosen Joss Whedon. Everyone was saying it was his choice. He had to step away for obvious reasons. And Joss Whedon came in. So I was a bit on the hand of, oh, that's kind of cool. Joss Whedon's coming in to finish his vision.
Yeah.
And then slowly it was Joss Whedon took a few liberties by placing this because the studio wanted it. And I was a bit like, oh, well, Zack Snyder probably would have had to have put that stuff in because the studio wanted it. I didn't realize that he really stands his ground, which is good to hear.
Absolutely. But Zack Snyder has his vision, and he will, for what cost es was es wolle is what we would say in German. It's like, at any cost, he will put his vision into a movie, which is always great. This trilogy proves that he knows what he's doing with this franchise. I just kicked my microphone there. I hope that no one can hear it.
Yeah, well, that's the exact point I actually think is the difference. Is people, let's be honest, they crapped all over Batman v Superman. But I'm going to later on tell you about why this movie makes Batman v Superman a better movie. And this original theatrical cut in comparison is just not the movie. It's just, I don't know how they're going to continue with that one being canon, because it's a mess. I'm going to say it now. I probably will never ever go back to watch the theatrical cut of Justice League.
There's no
reason
to.
Wouldn't see a point.
No, there's no reason to. It's just a waste of time, really. And it's, yeah, as you said, I don't remember, but it makes sense for me to go out of this movie of the 2017 release being like, no, this is not worth my time. I'd much rather see this 4-hour movie in its completion, sitting down with popcorn and everything, wasting 4 hours of my day watching this movie again, which I will when I'm back home and have my projector and my sound system around me, not just a TV with headphones, which I think will be a completely different experience all in all. But I'd rather watch this 4-hour movie twice again than once the 2017 release of Justice League. It is beyond me. It's now seeing the complete vision of what it can be, what it should have been, and what it could have been. And some of those choices that they made in 2017 just don't make sense if you see what they had.
Oh, they're baffling.
They had the idea. They had the ideas. They had the storyboard. They had the director. They could tell them what's going on. They had everything to make it as good as it is now. And I think everybody agrees, like most of the people agree, that this movie is not just good or better from what it used to be. Like, this is not just an upgrade from 2017, but a good movie in general. Like, on a standalone scale, it still holds up. And it's just
so are there any
strange?
Are there any moments for you from the 2017 one that you'd say, oh yeah, I would have kept that?
2017 was apparently such a forgettable movie to me that I don't really remember. One thing that I do remember, though, is that Aquaman was more loose. Like, he had more.
I didn't like him in the 2017 one.
But that is what Aquaman was a year later in 2018 in Aquaman the movie. Like, he's a bit quirky and blah blah blah, and that's, I don't know, the character.
We're gonna get to Aquaman. Don't worry. I can see where you're about to go, and I'm gonna cut you off before you jump down that rabbit hole. We're gonna get to Aquaman later with our DC rankings, okay? Because Yeah, let's just say me and you both have our problems with Aquaman. We know this.
Yes, yes. I mean, we know this. We haven't
But
had a podcast in years about
that's
movies.
true.
Yeah.
That's so true. We haven't had a podcast about movies, so hopefully people enjoy this. It's not really a big chat about theatrical cut Justice League, in my opinion. One's better, one isn't. One is made by one director, one is made by a director for 3/4 of the movie, and then they hired another director to come in, try and change it. I don't know what the hell he did to it, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
That's the obvious for me.
Yeah.
So if we can, yeah, I guess we could leave that out there. If anyone's watching this and you want to watch Justice League, watch the Zack Snyder one. There's no reason to watch the other one. There's no point. I'm just gonna say it.
Justice League 2017 Mojo. What's Mojo? Box Office Mojo. There you go. Let's see if it was if it was a box office success or not. Opening weekend, 100 million.
No, it can't be.
Domestically, just domestically. A gross lifetime domestically, so American 230 million and 428 international.
300 million to make.
660 million worldwide. So it did succeed. It did succeed in what it tried to be.
But you got to remember, it's 300 million.
Yeah.
And then they say you double that for advertisement.
They barely cut even.
So they barely cut even. And okay, that's a good question then, just before we move on to actually deep diving into Zack Snyder's Justice League. So we're going to go into spoilers, by the way, after this. But, yeah, do you think Zack Snyder's Justice League would have been a success then? Do you reckon it would have been a success box office? I know we're not numbers people. I'm just going to ask, though.
No. In the current form that we see it now on HBO Max or on Sky, depending on where you are, I do not think that this movie would have done as well as Justice League 2017 did. Because
of time alone?
Yeah. It's just wrong timing. There was a lot of free marketing and just, I don't know, hype around this movie as well that pushed it as far as it did now. But back then in 2017, it is a hard choice and a difficult pill to swallow and release a 4-hour movie. People would have been scared of and still are. If it's not a home release, just not a lot of people are going to sit through a 4-hour movie. That's like Avatar did that, and not even, even that was hard. Of course, but
do you not
the most successful movie in the world again after they re-released it in China. But 4-hour movie is it's not. I actually think that brings money.
I agree with you completely. But do you think maybe it's also part of the problem with the 4-hour one isn't necessarily Zack Snyder's fault in his vision? It's the fact that Warner Brothers had said to him, you're going to make 3 movies and then lead up to our version of the Avengers with 6 characters. Do you also think that's part of it? Like, you got to give it to him. There's no way you can do that without time.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it took the perfect amount of time. You mentioned that there are a couple of stretches. I have to, full transparency, I did not sit down and watch the movie. I did a bit of working next to it and worked out, because I just, at this point in time, I do not have 4 hours in my day that I can just watch a movie, sadly. So I didn't feel those stretches, which means I was really into all of those characters. I felt the motivation. They were quite clearly developed in my eyes, and I felt a connection to every single one of these characters, except for Batman. I have an issue with Batman, with Batfleck in particular.
I'm aware of this. So then, yeah, we'll just jump straight into. We've spoken a little bit about production and theatrical cut of Justice League. We'll just jump in straight into this movie now. Yes, so straight off the bat, I loved it. I mean, we both said we've loved it, but start to finish, I think it started better. I cannot believe they chose to cut out that Superman scene from the start. It made so much sense.
I was a bit disappointed that there was no funeral. I don't know. He died at the beginning, and there should have been some sort of a funeral. The 2017 opened with a funeral, and I think just a hint of that would have been great. I don't know.
Agree. agreed it had a funeral, but didn't we also kind of get the funeral in Batman v Superman?
Yes, we did.
At the end?
Yes, we did. But
So
in a perfect world, there are like 5 years between those movies.
in a perfect world,
I forgot
true.
that Superman died. I think. The Doomsday. Oh yeah, that was going on. The first scene, and I did not remember. I did not remember a single thing about Justice League 2017. I didn't know what happened. I forgot everything. It's like I've watched this movie in its completion for the first time ever. I knew that.
Yeah, it's true.
I knew that there was a power plant and those boxes. No, the boxes I didn't remember. That is a lie. But I know that the power plant and something to bring together, and cool Batmobile in Chernobyl. That's everything that I knew about and remember about the movie. Everything else was like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yes, that happened. Oh yeah, now I remember this happened. But if you would have asked me like a week ago, Niels, can you quickly summarize the movie Justice League for me? I couldn't. So that's why I say, a bit of a funeral wouldn't have hurt anybody, like, a minute more or less. What's that in 4 hours?
Yeah. So I have torn opinions on that one. So I love this new intro. I think this new intro is the better one for me. I think it makes complete sense. I also I really enjoyed the actual, not the little weird Superman podcast bit at the start. That was just weird. But the musical intro to the other one, I also really loved. And I think Joss Whedon did a very good job of it. I'm willing to hold my hands up and say that was good. That said, that musical intro to the other one felt very much like Joss Whedon doing his best impression of Zack Snyder. So, like, if I remember right, I remember watching it in the theater being like, oh, that's definitely Zack Snyder, like, that did this. Because it's very, very Zack Snyder. It really is. You can't deny it.
Yes. Putting seemingly out of place music. We've had this in this Justice League as well. If you remember the first Flash scene where the car crash happened with this girl, and there was music playing that is so out of place. But I watched it, and when I heard it, I'm like, that doesn't fit. But it's I know it's intentional, and it makes it work. Yeah, it just makes it work.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I think is, I'd say different, is great about this movie, is there is a stamp of approval on it from Zack Snyder when you watch it. And love it or hate it, when a director has a stamp of approval on their film, you get this feeling of, this was wanted, and this was what was intended, which is perfect when you watch a film, and it always makes it better. But the thing I love the most about this movie is, everyone crapped all over Batman v Superman. It's too dark, it's too this, it's too that. Zack Snyder listened. It's very obvious he listened. And I think that should be appreciated. I don't think people are talking about it enough. This film has a much lighter tone, and he's done it much better than they tried to do. He's slowly made it lighter, and he's thrown in a few jokes, and he's made everyone just seem a bit more down to earth,
but not too,
as opposed to what they did before.
Yeah, it's lighter hearted, but it's not Guardians of the Galaxy. It still keeps its DC is the darker Marvel, if you want to put it that way. DC has always been a bit grim, a bit more brutal or dark, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that's just its essence. I liked it in Batman vs Superman. I just love those dark and uneasy vibes that it's giving off. I've had no problem with Justice League being a bit lighthearted. But I would have definitely had a problem if it would have been comical, like 4 years ago. They tried to be funny and comical. That's out of the character, out of their element.
Agreed. That's what's interesting to me, is that they took characters that realistically they should know, and they probably do. I'm not going to say it. They realistically, they know these characters way better than me and you, you and I. Sorry. And I have read comic books. You've watched a lot of comic book TV, and you know from watching videos and things about these characters. But there are certain moments in this film, for example, like when Flash looks up and he says, "Oh, that's your symbol," to the bat symbol. For me, in the Zack Snyder cut, that worked. It worked. However, in the theatrical cut, it didn't work because there were too many jokes pre that scene. Because they'd done so many jokes that was a bit like, oh, you pushed me over the edge.
It feels a bit slapstick. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, straight off the bat, appreciations for, like, you got to appreciate Zack Snyder. He listened to people. So I think some people got to hold their hands up there. you were asking about scenes that I thought dragged. Okay, so let's get this straight. I actually really like these scenes myself, but I'm looking at them in the point of view of, yeah, you could cut some time off this movie quite easily. It's there to be cut.
Yeah.
For example, the singing when Aquaman walked away and the woman picked up his jumper and she started singing. I actually really liked it.
Got off sniffing on his pullover. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I was like, okay, he's in some. These people are kind of being weird and cultish around him. I thought, like, yeah, that would happen around superheroes. That's kind of interesting. Like, I like the idea, and it works perfectly in a director's cut, an extended edition.
It does.
So I was like, okay, good. But I can understand how a production team would look at it and be like, yeah, we don't need that. just cut that out. That's fine.
My initial thought watching this scene was really, I had a problem with her picking up and sniffing that pullover of his, because I thought, it's cool and everybody's giving him tribute because of course he saves the people and that's fine and that's cool. But is nobody even gonna, look at her weird for sniffing his stuff? Because she's
and it smells like fish.
Yeah, but she's obviously not, in a relation with him. And so is none of those attendees as well. So why is it okay for her to sniff on his stuff in front of everyone else? And everybody's like, yeah, that's what she does. That's what she does it every time. That took me a bit out. But I like this kind of stuff. This singing, for me, it's world building and just making sure that I'm engulfed into this. And it gave off a lot of vibes and just this cultish. I don't want to say it's cultish, but it just dragged me into this world a bit more.
Well, so this is the example I would use, is people always refer to Star Wars, or the old Star Wars, maybe not the new ones. The old Star Wars movies always used to be referred to as a space opera, yeah? Well, I would say Marvel makes superhero movies, but this was an operatic superhero movie. This was grand, and it was over the top, but also engaged the audience very well with these quite human-feeling characters sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest compliment you can pay it, is everything set up perfectly. From the start to finish, I never said, oh, that shouldn't be there. Like, that doesn't make any sense. There
was nothing pointless in there. Everything drove the story, or either drove the story, or drove the character, or drove the world. And it's not like a Russian family that needs to be solved, that it's just there for not just comic relief, but building stakes where there shouldn't be any stakes, because, saving this family, there are stakes in saving that dumbass family, but right next to this family, the whole world and galaxy is gonna burn down, so fuck them.
Yeah, but that's the other thing I feel is, to me, that would be something that, like, in a Marvel movie, they'd be like, we have to save this family, because those characters are very much like, we save everybody. But to me, DC heroes are quite pragmatic. They're quite like, one family for the rest of the world, all right. I know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I just feel like Batman is someone who weighs up the odds in his head and goes, nah, Flash, you should try and run round instead, and then maybe we can reverse time and save them. Don't just push them to the side, because the world will blow up otherwise. I don't know, I feel like that family was also, by the way, I did some research, that was injected so that people would have people to relate to.
That's horrible.
Which blows my mind, because it's like, first of all, you had superheroes that people could relate to. Really could relate to. Cyborg is such a relatable character.
And in a typical story, you're supposed to relate to either the villain or the hero in your story. You're not supposed to relate to side characters that are essentially damsels in distress for half an hour in your 2-hour movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know. It's so true, though. It's so true. Like, also, how do you expect me? Okay, try and make me to relate to Batman, who I've just watched a 3-hour movie of, in Batman v Superman, who's killed Superman, and then try and make me relate to him on his grief and how he feels about what he's done, which they do in this movie. But in that movie, they're like, Batman's kind of funny now. And then they're like, oh, but here's this Russian family that you can really relate to because they're being attacked by parademons. It's like, no, just stick with your characters. You've got such good characters already. So let's just talk about characters, I guess.
Yeah.
Favorite character of the movie?
Not favorite character. I want to stick on to those parademons because I didn't like them in 2017 and I still don't like them here. Not that they're just bad enemies, they're not, but it lacks a variety. You know, when you have a war movie, there are people with guns, and there are maybe mortars, and there are pilots. You have your enemies are diverse. You know, in a King Kong movie, you don't just have a big ape. You have dinosaurs and whatever. But in this movie, you got big fucking boss Steppenwolf and parademons, and I was unsure about the hierarchy. You know, I know that Steppenwolf commands those parademons, but he does not. But there are only parademons. Like, is there not a parademon or a pre-demon, something like that? I would have
something that's higher up.
Yeah, I would have loved some more hierarchy because this is just swarm. You see the king bee? I don't know.
So what I remember in reading Justice League comics was parademons are made from fallen soldiers or something like that. Agreed, actually. Even when I used to read, even when reading comic books and watching animated movies, I've always felt that apart from like Desaad and Granny Goodness, and Steppenwolf, I've always thought that the people Darkseid brings with him, like the parademons, I've always been like, parademons are kind of weak sauce. They're just flying bugs that are there for the Justice League to squat.
Yeah, but agreed. They are a huge hurdle for some of them. Like, they kill Amazonians by the dozen, but they cannot kill a single member of the Justice League or, you know, seriously hurt them. I don't know, the power difference is just too big for them. Some of those parademons seem to be like retarded in every sense of the word, and the other ones are just gods in fighting. And would have made sense that god parademons would have killed those Amazonians with the bows and arrows. I mean, it's sort of their fault. But
do you also think that's the point though? Is like the Justice League are just like, even above the Amazonians, they're just gods, which I also think was done really well in this movie. The Justice League don't just feel like superheroes; they feel like literal gods. Like when they're fighting, it's like no, I don't think Marvel characters could beat up the Justice League. They feel literally like entities from another world.
Yeah, except for Batman. We said that we're not. I don't know if we should get into me and my problem with Batman and how he really does not fit into this ensemble. Not just into that ensemble. But I've a specific problem with Ben Affleck as a Batman. And not even with Ben Affleck as a Batman, because Ben Affleck is a superb Bruce Wayne, but he just looks so freaking dumb in his costume, and it's so uncomfortable to watch him as Batman. It's just a chubby...
I love his Batman costume.
A chubby ninja.
I love it. He's not chubby, though. He's not chubby. I don't think... I know you think he's chubby, and I'm sure people are going to hate you for this, by the way. He's not chubby, first of all. He's a much older Batman, and for his age, he's in great shape.
Yeah, of course. But do you remember from the first Wolverine, when Wolverine came back to the super strong man and it was just fat and in a boxing ring? That feels...
no way you're going to tell me that. No way you're going to tell me that.
He can't move in it, he can't fight in it. All he does is shooting guns that look 5 times too small for his posture.
But that's what I love. For me, it just... I think that one is Zack Snyder being... I don't know, you probably haven't read any of the Frank Miller comic books, but that is Zack Snyder in love with that drawing of Batman. And I totally get it, because I am too. It's this Batman that is almost hunched over because he's so big and so barrely. And Ben Affleck fits that bill perfectly. And a lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. I personally hate Christian Bale as Batman. We've had this discussion before.
We've had this
I'm not going to get into it because it's a different movie.
Yes.
And if people want me to get into it, they can ask. But what you were saying about Batman, I have got a point. In this movie, there's a great scene when they bring Superman back, and I absolutely loved it. People were saying online, why didn't Batman get out of there? Oh my god, this is so stupid. First of all, it's Superman. He could just catch up and put his arm straight through his chest. But there is a great... In the theatrical cut, it just seems like the Justice League are fighting Superman because he's gone crazy. But in this cut, they are stopping Superman from getting to Batman because they're like, yeah, he will kill him.
Yeah.
He's too strong. Batman can't fight him. He's got no suits like he did in Batman v Superman. He didn't come prepared. And then it's an even better scene when Superman gets to Batman. Because first of all, Superman doesn't say the stupid line of, "Do you bleed?" in this one. He doesn't quote Batman because it only works when Batman says that. And he literally goes up in the air, and his eyes go red, and Batman says one of my favorite lines of the movie, which he looks up and he says, "Clark, no," because he has come to terms with the fact that I'm probably about to be turned into a skeleton.
Yeah, this is my demise.
And but it was like, it was honestly like, also,
just looks
he didn't
so
say it with that much
funny.
fear.
If you look at this scene, it's just like all of the gods fighting, and in the background is just a fat Batman at the end of a pool being scared with his tiny ass gun. It just looks so ridiculous.
But did you
watch this movie again and tell me it looks not ridiculous.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I think it comes straight off the page for me anyway. But I also like the fact that Batman had a device, like if you watch the theatrical cut, Superman literally laser beams him. No, Superman picks him up and he throws him into the car, which always said to me, which if Superman really wanted to hurt him, he'd use his eyes, because first of all, yeah, he knows Batman will probably survive that because Batman is weirdly strong for some reason, like superhumanly strong. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And in this one, Superman goes straight with the laser vision, and Batman has a device pre-made in this movie because Zack Snyder had been thinking ahead to what he was going to do. He has a little gauntlet, which, by the way, absorbs energy. Might I add, I think that was done before Black Panther, by the way. So hats off to them.
Yeah.
On the absorbing energy device.
Absorbing energy is Wonder Woman, right? Isn't it? Like they even concerned it in the movie. Like, oh, you should make him a whip next time. And it's like, because she...
Oh, she does make the reference. Because she does it. And which is also quite cool, because clearly that gives you the idea that in Batman v Superman, Batman saw what she was doing and was like, that's cool. and he took it, which is awesome. Yeah. I didn't actually notice that. Good idea. Good shout, Niels, for seeing that, and good point out. I thought that was really cool. I thought that whole segment where you saw the Justice League working, there was even funny moments where Aquaman pointed at Flash to you, like, say what you did. But if we were talking about favorite characters, I've got to mention, I think Cyborg was so good in this movie. He was so good.
I loved his football shot. Like, that was cinematic gold. Yeah, not just the jump, but the whole scene.
Oh my god!
The snow, and it's all indoors. It's in a complete indoors. If you watch behind the scenes, it's all indoors. Just a couple of real people in the crowd, but other than that, just green screen. It's amazing. That was one thing that I have not mentioned yet before I want to get into characters, but it's just the composition work itself that went into it. Of course, as someone who's dealing a lot with 3D and 3D art and a bit of special effects, I've viewed this kind of stuff with a different eye, and it goes beyond it just looks good, but having a bit of an understanding on how it's done and how we could pull it off. It's such an immense source of inspiration, and it just is pulled off so well. But knowing the background and the crunch they had to do for this movie, it is incredible. And as with the cyborg scene as well, there wasn't a lot of special effects except for set extension, but just the thought out composition and what kind of visual brilliance you have to have to envision such a shot, direct such a shot, and pull it off as insanely well as Zack Snyder and his crew did. So there is hats off.
Well, actually, to add on to what you said, I hear Zack Snyder actually very much like Michael Bay. Even though I don't like Michael Bay movies that much, but I've got to give hats off to him as well. Both of those directors, I've heard a lot of people saying they are very hands-on with special effects and composition and everything that goes into any kind of, huge shot in the movie. They are very knowledgeable about what they're doing. And I think that's quite impressive, because I have heard stories of directors who just direct the movie and then they just go to the special effects people, this is what I want, and then they leave. But if you have the ability to say, this is what I want, can you do it this way, and this way? I think you're going to get a better scene every time, and it kind of shows.
Yeah, because it is, I've had this with clients and creative work. If I have a client and they request a simple picture, a simple Photoshop, and they tell me like, okay, I have this task, make me a flyer. And that's it. And it's like, make me a flyer. And yeah, what color, what kind of flyer, for what's it for, what's target audience? So those are all questions that are left open, and just extend the process of creating immensely. And in the end, in the end effect, I always say to clients that I work with that the creative process is not like visiting a barber, where you go in and say, I want to sort of look like this, and point to a picture on the wall, and then just have them have a go at you, and in 25 to 30 minutes you stand up dissatisfied but paying anyway, and then the barber says, do you like it? Yeah, I like it, but on the inside you think, no, they're growing back, it's not that bad. That's not how a design process should be. It's a constant ping pong. And of course, if you work with people who have worked with you before, they know what you can do, you know what they can do, and you understand each other. But in a film like that, I imagine that there has been a lot of ping ponging back and forth ideas and checking up, hey, we have this idea, is this going into the right direction? No, it's not. Make it like this. Perfect. Thank you for helping us realizing your vision, because it's facilitating every step of the creative process. If you have someone who can clearly and concisely state what he wants and what he does not want. And I think that Zack Snyder is exactly such a person.
That's the point, though, isn't it? The director is there, and this is why I get kind of annoyed when I see people online saying like, "Oh, Zack Snyder's movie isn't this good or that good." The director is there at the end of the day to direct his movie. He is there to give his vision. So if you've hired a director and you have all these people online complaining that, I don't know, they don't like Zack Snyder movies, it doesn't matter. He was hired. His movie is there to be made. So he gets to make his movie. That's as simple as it is. And you know what? It's pretty damn good again. And it's not just special effects, and it's not just, you know, all of a lot of these things are what make him a great director. But I think he understands characters really well, and I don't think people appreciate that enough about him. What do you think? Like, Cyborg, as I said before, he is the heart of it. I didn't want to like say it because everyone's saying it, but he is the heart of the movie, and he's got some great moments, like some fantastic moments.
Yeah, he's one of those characters that was really done injustice by the Justice League movie in 2017, right?
God. So, yeah, don't get me started. Like, I said it on Reddit and people agreed with me. And it's really terrible to say because we shouldn't be in a world where this is the case. But he literally felt like he was in that original Justice League movie just to be the black guy. And I mean it. And it's so true. Like, you can't not acknowledge that. He gets 3 scenes at the start of the movie where he's like, I don't want to join the League in the original one.
Yeah.
And then he joins the League, and then he has fun joining the League, and then he goes back and sees his dad at the end. I think that's the altogether what we get. We didn't get any backstory of this, and I mean tragic story that this character has been through in this movie. And also a really caring human in this movie. Like that scene where he's watching the woman after she's had that monologue from his father about all the things he can do. It was so... why would you cut that scene?
Wasn't it in the original? Wasn't it not in the theatrical release?
No. Wasn't there.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Was not there?
No, it wasn't there. Wasn't there. Was not there. And... Niels, Cyborg's American football scene wasn't there. Cyborg's scene where he talked about where the mother boxes wasn't there. The death of Cyborg's father wasn't there.
No. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. Of course he died. No. Now you're talking out of gas.
No, he didn't. Because he's at the end of the movie of the theatrical cuts. He's there messing with Cyborg's armor so he can turn back into the more into a lighter looking version in the theatrical cuts. Really? No. I don't. I'm gonna watch this movie tomorrow or today, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I promise you.
Just 30 minutes ago, I said that I'm never gonna watch this movie again, but I'm gonna watch it just to spite you, just to tell you that you're wrong.
Wait, should we just find out?
No, we're already creeping up at 40 minutes here. We shouldn't just.
Okay. Anyway. Oh, namely, Dr. Stone survived the theatrical cut, it says online. I had to search it, I'm sorry. Anyhow, I had to. The point is, though, they cut all these scenes. He's probably the best character in the movie. And I just... It was hurtful as well because that actor did a really, really good job. he did like a fantastic job, and he probably had the best line of the movie for me, which was at the end when they were trying to separate the mother boxes, and the mother boxes were trying to like fight him, and they said, "Come here, come to us. We can fix you." His parents, and he had the best line of the movie, which was, "I'm not broken," and it was
Completing
like
the character
his
arc.
arc.
Yeah.
They did an arc. Yeah, they completed the arc in that movie, which is, first of all, a hell of an achievement, because they put him first ahead of the Flash because they knew the Flash was getting a movie. They didn't know Cyborg was going to get a movie, and I'll be honest, I've never seen like someone like Hawkeye. Like, he never had an arc in the first Avengers. He didn't get anything like that. This was like a real. This was essentially what I think people saw as a side character being shifted to the middle. And I would probably say in the next movie, oh, I'd love to see more of Cyborg. I'd probably prefer to see more of Cyborg than Wonder Woman, actually, or Batman, actually, because he's had quite a lot of screen time now.
Please don't show any more Wonder Woman. I can't bear all of this in the background every time.
You're one of the people that didn't like it.
No, from the first, from the first movie, when the first trailer of the first Wonder Woman movie hit, when she appeared on Batman vs Superman, I told you then, and I still stand by it. Her song is the worst.
You don't like her song?
I think it's the worst.
A lot of people love it.
It's the worst.
I like the song, but I also feel a lot of people were complaining about the humming in this movie when she fought, and I don't think it was the humming problem. I think it was the fact that the song was just used too much.
No.
Her song was just used too much. I think once or twice it would have been fine, but it was every time she did something, and I agree with you. And I think in a world where he'd probably made that movie to go to theaters and he cut things out, I think that probably would have been changed. I think they would have said, it would have been test screenings and people would have said, song's a bit too much. And they probably would have just reduced it. Which, again, I'd like to say, I think this movie would have probably been, people would disagree with me, I think this movie probably would have been even better if he'd probably had the chance to change things again after test screenings and stuff. Because that's what those are there for. They make movies better.
Well, who said that he didn't have these test screenings? Only because it's a digital release doesn't mean that they didn't have eyes on them before they pushed the release button.
Agreed. But I also get the feeling, because of this release, they just said to him, go for it, stick everything you can, which probably led him to be like, I'll just stick all the music in, which I'm totally there for as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, I get the feeling, like, there were scenes of people walking around, which was just so obvious that it was just like, wouldn't have been in the theatrical cuts. But he was like, yeah, so what? I filmed an extra 5 seconds before they walk on to before they go into the scene. It fits into the movie. Let's just leave it there. Do you know, like, so, yeah. And to go on to the next character, did you like the Flash in this movie?
For me, Flash was one of the best characters, and he had a significant change over the theatrical cut as well. He was made less awkward, and his whole having a crush.
Still awkward, by the way.
Huh?
Still awkward,
yes, but
not too awkward.
Not also over the top. And his whole arc with having a crush on Wonder Woman wasn't really dead on your nose, like in the
creepy.
Yeah, in the Justice League movie. So, but mainly because I found I always thought, Flash can run fast and is fast. That's kind of cool, I guess. But I never really cared about him. I did in this movie, because of how well thought out his power was, actually, and I never really looked at him. And
so well done.
Yeah, and the visual representation on what he can do and what he is was just amazing. When the car crashed and he went into full speed mode and just bursts out of his shoes, and it just looks amazing. Or there's scene, big spoiler, where he runs faster than fucking light and runs back in time. I was just blown away, and the fact that the faster he runs, the slower he moves, it's almost like he's swimming through time.
So cool.
It's just a detail that just is so amazing to me, and it just looked cool, and I enjoyed almost every scene that he was part of, and he was the part of the comic relief that was proportionally seen a good amount. It's not too much, not too less. It was there, and it was there in the right amount, and he just made sure it's not too dark and too gritty.
Well, that's what I think is like you said, like, First of all, his powers so much better in this movie than the last one. He just ran faster the last one.
Yeah.
You just like he was on a scene in a moment and then he was gone. That was it. So stupid. And I'm just before we go on, I only get one chance to say this. That scene in the other movie where he runs with the car and then he looks up and Superman is carrying the building has to be one of the most stupid scenes I've ever seen in my life in a movie. Because it's just like, yeah, it works on a page. You should never have done it.
Yeah, why?
Gonna get back onto the Flash's powers in this movie.
I remember this scene, but why was Superman carrying a building?
Because they just wanted to make something joyous and fun. And it was like, yeah, but in this world, Superman wouldn't have done that because he would have gone straight through the building picking it up that way. It was like, there is some semblance of scientific ideas sometimes in these movies. Like, they don't try and break everything that hard. And I'm talking about a movie where someone runs faster than light. So, but also, to get onto Flash's powers, I loved the fact that in that scene where he ran backwards in time, it felt like he can't do this all the time. It felt like he really can't do this all the time. It wasted him in terms of, like, he had a moment where he was like, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, I gotta go fast. And then he ran.
I didn't know what happened after that. He ran back in time, he touched Cyborg, but what happened after that? Because in every single scene where he ran fast towards anything, like reviving Superman or giving a sword or anything, the moment he reached,
he was wasted.
Yeah, he was just gone flying through walls because he couldn't stop at this speed. What happened to
that? Was so
what
cool.
happened to him after he ran faster than light? I didn't, we only saw that Cyborg could separate those boxes, but we didn't see Barry just flying through Russia. I don't know.
Yeah. So what happened is he runs through the essentially the space-time continuum. I think he runs through, like to traverse time, and he's reversing time. He is literally, you are seeing everything go back, which amazing shot, by the way, seeing Superman's arm redevelop over a skeleton. So cool. And he actually has to get Cyborg back in time and has to touch him to give him enough power to go inside the mother boxes. And it is one of the best transitions I've seen in a long time in a movie, where he touches Cyborg and the camera goes through that little red lens on the front of Cyborg's head, and it goes through his through the electronics inside his body, and then we see Victor Stone confronting these actual mother boxes, which metamorphize into witches.
That environment where Victor stands on, by the way, when I watched it, even I was like, you could have put a bit of bob mapping on those floors. They just look like plain textures. Come on. It's like you.
I think that was clearly one of the ones that hadn't been finished.
It's baffling to me because you just finished an amazing shot with a guy running backwards in time, which looked amazing, and then this simple environment shot that could have been done by an intern in a day was not finished. It's like, all right.
Do you think if this movie had been finished though fully, do you reckon it would have been up for some kind of visual effects award? If they'd had the actual time they committed, obviously, to finishing everything?
I don't think so, because historically superhero movies are not getting nominated for any Academy Awards. Just Avengers just
Suicide won an Oscar.
Yeah. Avengers was nominated because they could not ignore it being the most profitable movie of all time for a brief amount of time. But typically, superhero movies do not really get any attention.
Interesting.
I feel like 2017.
Interesting.
There has to be a Transformer movie coming out at this year, taking away the Oscar again. I don't know, or some Disney movie. Who knows? They always get it.
So we've spoken about Wonder Woman. I feel like we don't need to speak about Wonder Woman. She's generally, apart from the music for you, I think she's pretty standout. She's pretty great in these movies.
She's good, yeah.
She's Wonder Woman. Yeah, she's Wonder Woman. Batman, I love. You like, but you don't like his look. That's fine. Flash, Cyborg, I think we've done so much justice in this movie. To briefly talk about Aquaman, I think Aquaman's hard to do on screen. I think he's really hard. I think it's hard to do.
The concept is difficult to pull off. I think
it's very difficult.
They did a great job with the source material they have.
Me too. Me too. That's what I've got to say. I think Zack Snyder handles Aquaman the best way he can, and I mean this is a huge compliment, without him having to make him Aquaman, if you know what I mean. and the one thing I will say is he made him way more human in this film, and I hated him in the theatrical cut. I couldn't stand his character. The fact that he was always like, "Oh, Wonder Woman, you're beautiful. Oh yeah." Like I hated
forgot
that. I
about
couldn't
it.
deal with
Yes, he was a fuckboy. Yes.
He was absolutely. That's the best description.
And
you
then
could
he
use.
said he said on her whip of truth and the lasso of truth and mumbled some shit. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was no. That line was. I remember it because in the theater I cringed. He was like, he sat on it, and again I wasn't disliking this movie at this point. He sat on it and he went. They were like, "So what do you think?" After that, he was like, "First of all, you're beautiful," and he was like. I know that Atlanteans and Amazonians had a thing in the past, but that wasn't our generation. And it was something along the lines of that. And I remember being like, oh, please don't say this is going to be Aquaman in his movie, which, by the way, it was. So Aquaman, fine. Superman I want to get to because, yeah, we've seen him in the past, but oh my God, he was good in this movie. He was so good.
It's so awesome. If you ever want to have this shot where when he touches the ground before liftoff at the stones kind of elevate.
So
if you want to have that shot from you, just send me footage and I'll make it happen for you because it's a fairly.
You know what? You know what? Should we do that to go with this podcast afterwards because we discussed it? Should we show so that way if people say like in the comments like oh. Neil saw Mondrubberduck or whatever is harsh on visual effects. You could show like, oh, I can do some stuff. We should make that. We should make it to have proof on the YouTube channel.
We could stream it.
Awesome, Superman. Yep. Yeah, we could actually. Best line in the movie for me, best representation of Superman for me is. I've seen a lot of people say this, so I'm not going to say it's my idea, and I agree with them on lots of different podcasts. But Zack Snyder understands that Superman's biggest fight isn't with other enemies. It's with himself in his head and who he is and where he is in this world, what his place is. No one can beat Superman. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And people will say, oh, but this character can be Superman because, with this. He is an absolute god. But when you have someone who's trying to figure out their place in the world, then you have an idea and then you have something to talk about. But the scene where Steppenwolf raised his axe and went to hit Cyborg, and Superman flew in, and it just went ding on his shoulder, and he looked at him and went,
"Not impressed.
I'm not impressed." What a scene! Even my girlfriend was watching me, and she just went, "God, Superman."
Yeah.
I was like, "You're damn right he is." Like,
and you told me they want to replace Henry Cavill. I for the love of God, I cannot see anyone else playing Superman than him.
And by the way, I'm all for having representation in movies. I think that's great, and there are characters that you can do it with perfectly. And if they had gone for it straight away with Man of Steel, I would have been all for it. But the fact is, you've cast your best Superman, and it's amazing. You've cast a good Batman. I don't care if you want to change him. That's fine. You've got Robert Pattinson, who looks like he's going to be a good Batman. They're talking about doing a new Batman as well now. They're making out this idea that comic books aren't inclusive. There are lots of black superheroes. There is a Green Lantern that they had the option to use. One of the biggest members of the Justice League, a black Green Lantern that they could have used. I mean, Zack Snyder's already said that scientist, Ryan Choi, in Justice League, that is the Atom. Zack Snyder set up the Atom, and he chose to use an Asian Atom. So, yeah, there is representation to be had. I think this was more, and I'm all going to be fully supportive of whoever takes Superman. I want these characters to do well, but I feel like it's going to be unnecessary backlash for whoever takes this role, and I think it's unfortunate.
It is just a big standards to live up to. It's the same with James Bond. It's like historically it's always been a white British guy, and suddenly casting someone who is a person of color who undoubtedly has acting skills, like that's out of the question, but it's just not character, and I don't feel like
I think James Bond's easier though. I think I agree. I know what you're saying. I think James Bond also harsh on the actor, but I think James Bond isn't so much with whoever you cast, like, is their ethnicity. I think it's more you can't cast an American. You can cast an Australian because they got away with it with George Lazenby. You can't cast an American, and you can't. And that's a big point, though, is people will say, like, oh, why can't this person play James Bond? I'm a British person. I can say, yeah, I'd probably be like, well, we don't have a lot of characters, especially good guys. Do you really need to take that one character away as an like for an
Try
American
being
person?
an Austrian.
Cast whoever you want.
Try being from Austria.
Yeah, okay.
We've got
I'll
Christoph Waltz.
I'll try it one
He's
time.
never been a good character.
He's literally been a bad guy.
He's literally been a Nazi.
Okay, we got. Well, that's true though. Well, that's most Austrian actors, to be fair.
Yeah.
Even like the big German actors, Daniel Brühl. I think isn't he the sniper in Inglourious Basterds?
Or this
I think he is.
Tim Schweiger or something in Tomb Raider. He's also the bad guy. It's
God.
just hard.
Okay, so what do we get to? We got off topic. Way off topic.
Of course, we're like at 55 minutes of my recording.
We've got like 3 things left that we can kind of breeze through. What would you like to see if something happens, and do you think something will happen?
As far as I know, it was meant to be a trilogy, the Justice League trilogy, which is now not anymore. Yeah. I heard that in some interviews Snyder said that this is what we get. We do not get any more movies like this, and this is a shame because I would love to have seen this dystopian world that was teased at the end of the movie, like the last 20 minutes. This dream world that would have been awesome.
Oh, we didn't.
But we
didn't get to talk about it.
But I
go quickly. What do you think of Batman and Joker?
Make
awesome.
No fucking mistake. I will kill you. No.
What a great line. Okay, we're off there. That was amazing though. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's
carry on.
It's hard to know that we're not going to see a movie like that. And there are other movies that are planned to be released. But it's just not coming. We've got another Suicide Squad 2021 and The Batman 2022.
Yeah, I think it will be good.
Sadly, I don't think that we're gonna see. I don't think that we're gonna see anything like this ever again, and it makes me a bit sad, to be honest. But it gives me hope to DC to realize and see that go back to the roots and see who they are. They're not Marvel. They don't need to be Marvel. They need to be DC, and that's what people loved about them. And hopefully they continue doing it.
So, first of all, actually, back to your point, I'm going to come out and say I'm not sure on the one if I think it will happen, because Zack Snyder's also stated that he would come back 100% if someone wanted him to. It's also the part for me is Warner Brothers weren't going to release this. Their parent company, AT&T, were the ones that said, people want this, we're giving it to them. So, I think if they get enough views on this, which, by the way, it's doing very well for viewing numbers on HBO Max, I don't think they'll get a movie. I think he might get a Justice League series with the entire cast he wants. And I would be all for it. I think it would even work better because you get the time.
Stick to movies,
you get the same money.
Please. Don't give me series.
Well, why not? Okay, what about what about like another 4-hour movie that went straight to HBO Max though? Same money going into it?
I don't know.
Same actors?
No, stick to movies.
I know you're a fan of the big screen. I know that very much. And it hurts for you to think of a film this good go into that. But if we get it, and I will take it.
See, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I didn't watch Mandalorian Season 2, and I couldn't care less. I'm a huge fan of the Avengers, obviously. Didn't even watch a single episode of WandaVision, and I'm not going to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier or whatever. It's just not happening. We'll talk about that next time.
Movie,
then I'm not gonna see
a podcast. Okay, so fine. That's our opinions on if we think it'll happen. You are pretty stern on you don't think it'll happen. I'm gonna hold that a little bit of hope because I want this to happen desperately. I think he's a good filmmaker. I think he's a nice person. I think he probably deserves this after everything he's been through. So, I'll hold that little hope for Zack Snyder. So, we both want to see those movies, but
yeah, I would love.
What about the DC universe?
I would love to see the movies. I'm just not. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would love to see. Yeah.
The DC universe, Niels. Where is it at now? We finished Zack Snyder's project where Ben Affleck is going to come back for The Flash, and Michael Keaton is going to be in it. I'll watch that for that craziness to see what happens. I'm a bit concerned they're just going to do Ben Affleck dirty again and make him be a smiley Batman. But yeah, what have we got? We've got The Flash, The Suicide Squad. I think will be good, by the way, because it's James Gunn. I think I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a DC fanboy. I like Marvel movies. I think James Gunn's a good filmmaker. Who else have we got? We've got Black Adam. We've got Shazam. I very much enjoyed the first Shazam movie.
It was
again.
fun. It was fun.
So we got a lot of movies coming. We got way more than that, by the way. I haven't got the slate up in front of me. We can go through a whole slate when we got more time, and we can talk about what we think will happen. Can I get a little ranking list from you of your favorite DC for your DC movies from so
Number
far?
1. I thought long and hard about this. Hear me out. Do not interrupt me. Number 1.
Yeah.
The Dracula. Number 2, easily, but the close second one, The Mummy. Number 3.
Niels, I said DC. I said DCU, not the DU.
Number 3 and 4, and I've looked it up. They are still from
universe.
DC and Warner Bros. Red, the hit film Red with this bald guy. What's it called? Bruce
Willis and Helen Mirren.
Yes, Red. 1 and 2, like they're sharing number 3.
Oh god. Oh god, what is this? Oh god, we jumped off to a horrible list. But if we're gonna go for the Dooku, I'm gonna come out and say The Invisible Man right away. Stand-up movie. Straight back to DC. What have we got? Number 1.
Catwoman, 2004.
Oh god, don't get me starting Catwoman.
No, okay.
Don't get me started on
So
that.
I am a huge fan of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. If I had to rank them, it would be
that's not DC Universe.
2,
though.
1, 3. Of course, it's DC Universe.
Okay.
That's
No, but DC Universe is the DC Cinematic Universe, isn't it? It's this universe we've just made. Isn't it?
No, but it's fine. All right. Then go. Okay, then I've gotta say that I really enjoyed Justice League. It's good. It's way up there. I don't know if I don't want to put numbers into it really. So let's say I would just put Justice League number 1 for right now until I think of something better, because no, really, the Christopher Nolan Batman's got it for me. I enjoyed Green Lantern, no matter what everybody says. I really enjoyed it, but it's not as good as Justice League. Yes, I really did enjoy it.
Okay.
Man of Steel. I just see Man of Steel. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I do. Do you want me to give you
Yes,
my
please.
list, because I think I
Yes,
know the
please.
DCU first. Okay. So, DCU for me. Man of Steel's at the top. Absolutely fantastic movie. Brilliant. Everyone should see it. The toss-up between Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and Justice League for me is quite tough, actually, because I really love Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. I think it's a fantastic movie. I know people don't like it, but I think it's a great movie. I think it's even better with this movie now as well, because it really is a full story. So that could be a toss-up for third and second. They're up there. Followed by Shazam. Absolutely love Shazam. Think it's a fantastic movie. Really fun. I also think it fits in that universe. Whatever people say it's a kid's movie and things, yeah, it is. Shazam's a childish character. It fits in that universe. It kind of works because it's got that grim look through the camera still. Shazam, followed by... What have we got? Oh, we're going into some of the ones I don't like as much. Wonder Woman next. I do think it's a good movie. I think it was overhyped. I really like the Wonder Woman character. I think she's a fantastic character. I think she plays her really well as well. Yeah, this is where it gets tough for me. Suicide Squad, no. Probably Wonder Woman 84, which I saw recently. I don't think it's a very good movie. This is a side of where I don't think they're very good, okay? Wonder Woman 84 wasn't very good. I don't know if you've seen it, Niels, but the movie essentially finishes with people going, I renounce my wish. That can give you an idea of what kind of movie you're watching. I'm not going to put the theatrical cut of Justice League in there. I think it's absolute garbage compared to this new one. So we're going to go, what have we got left? We've got Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad, and Aquaman. Oh, this is a toss-up for some bad movies. I'd probably say that Birds of Prey was the absolute No, Birds of Prey is probably better than Suicide Squad. I hated Birds of Prey though.
Yeah.
I hated Birds of Prey for the fact that it was all filmed in the daytime in Gotham, and it gave me I had a huge headache with the fact that Gotham went from looking like Gotham in Batman v Superman, and even in Suicide Squad, they made Gotham look right at the start, to it just went looking like LA, and no one complained. Not one person said, "Why the hell does Gotham look like Los Santos in GTA?"
Yeah.
No one said anything, and it was a huge problem for me. I think Birds of Prey I really didn't like that movie. I can't say enough. I really think Margot Robbie's a good Harley Quinn, and I think they had a hell of a lot of good actresses in that movie. And they had good actors too, even though I don't like Hugh McGregor, he's a good actor. They really wasted everything in that movie. I think that could have been a good movie, and they wasted everything. It was silly.
They just had an agenda that
Suicide
they wanted
Squad.
to get through, and this agenda just stood in the way of a good movie. It had a lot of potential, but they chose not to use the potential, but to please the maximum amount of people, which was ultimately a bad choice. But, in hindsight, everybody can say that.
Suicide Squad is awful. That said, I have seen a lot of things on Twitter.
Never forget that you walked out of the cinema and it said it was a great
I liked
movie.
it.
And I said
it was good. I don't think I said it was great.
You ranked during the movie. You said it was this good. And
I got kicked out of the movie theater.
And I had to tell you off. It is on the internet. We can find the video where I talk to you and say,
"Oh God, I was young, okay,
impressionable."
I had a rewatch.
You saw Margot Robbie and you're like,
"Yeah,
that's the movie I like."
Okay. On rewatch, it's very bad. It's very bad. However, I actually believe there is a good movie in there, because I've also seen, because I do like some scenes in that movie. I actually think Will Smith did quite a good performance of Deadshot. They just had stupid music playing over him all the time. They also have David Ayer, who is a good director. He has directed good things. And I have seen on Twitter him saying that wasn't his movie, which is quite refreshing to hear, because I liked David Ayer going into this movie. And he was like, "Yeah, this wasn't my movie." He had a film that fit in with Zack Snyder's tone, because Zack Snyder apparently wanted David Ayer to make that movie. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell they did Suicide Squad. Everybody's thinking, "Oh my God, he's going to put Aquaman right at the bottom of the list." I'm not actually. I hate Aquaman, by the way. I'm going to insert it just above Birds of Prey, solely on the fact that I laughed a lot during Aquaman. That said, they weren't good laughs. They were not. They were laughs at an octopus playing drums. And I rewatched Aquaman clips, by the way, before I did the podcast, to make sure I wasn't hating on this movie too hard.
So
I'm gonna go back and rewatch
you
Aquaman.
were planning on giving shit to Aquaman.
I was planning on giving it a good talk. And everyone came away being like, Aquaman was so fun. It was so good. I loved it. Oh my God, it brings the DCU so much light. It's so light. Jason Momoa killed it. I think Jason Momoa is great, by the way. He's an absolute... I hate him in Aquaman. He's such a bro, and he's so annoying. I don't even dislike Amber Heard in films. I know she's not meant to be a very nice person. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into it. But what the hell did they do to her hair in that movie? Why is it blood orange? What's going on? There's so many things I have a problem with, Niels. Why does the movie both look amazing and also look awful at the same time? What did they do?
For you. All the special effects look fake, but fit into the world in one. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, all of it looks like crap, but Zack Snyder's good effects as well.
But Zack Snyder's effects look good, and sometimes a bit iffy, but I can deal with them. I'm like, oh, that's Zack Snyder. I can deal with it. Even in all his movies. It's like, that is what he does. However, Aquaman was like Power Rangers on steroids. It's so weird. And there's a line in that movie which will live with me forever, which is, he goes to kill the crab, and the crab looks up at him and says, "Do it, you sub-bellied slut." And I'm like, what? What did he just say to him? I'm sorry. You can jump in with your list now. I'm sure you've heard mine. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on everything, but...
No, I can say bottom of the list for me is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman...
Okay.
There's a pile. I've got movies that I can recommend, and then there's a pile of movies that I just plain and simple did not enjoy.
Yeah, just Just split them up.
Yeah.
Recommend.
Yeah,
just
that's
split them
easy.
up.
That's
what would you
easy.
tell people to watch?
Thank
What would
you
tell
for
people not
splitting
to
it up.
watch?
It makes it a lot easier. So I would not recommend watching the Justice League theatrical release, Suicide
Agreed.
Squad, the Wonder Woman movies. Well, the first one was fine until the end. So
the first one, I'd put it on the watch list.
Yeah, it lives on this edge rim world, so it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Aquaman, do not recommend. But it is on the brim. It's like I don't dislike it as much as you do, because it's, turn off your brain, grab some popcorn, and it's a fun evening.
But that's my problem with Aquaman. Before you finish your list, is I don't think Zack Snyder movies and his universe that he set up were turn off your brain movies, and they turned his universe into turn off your brain, and it made me angry when I watched that movie. It was like you took this character and now watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, it works when you watch the Justice League theatrical cut to go to that Aquaman. But when you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, you couldn't watch that Aquaman. You couldn't watch Aquaman after that and be like, oh, that's the same guy.
That's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, so carry on.
What else do we have?
Birds of Prey.
I spent so much money on this movie. Ugh. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, no. Go away. Don't ever name that. No. It's definitely on the do not watch list. Ugh.
Yep.
It's
by the way, let's not just say we don't hate women in movies before we say this. I just don't like that. I think Wonder Woman is fantastic in every other movie, and I think she's fantastic in the first Wonder Woman. Birds of Prey just doesn't work for a lot of different reasons for me. Mainly not for the people in the movie. It's mainly for just the way the movie is made. It's just the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what it is for you, Niels, but probably the women for you because you hate
women. I'm gay. That's probably it. It's full moon again.
The werewolves,
yeah. For a disclaimer, I'm not gay, but it's not.
He was making a TikTok joke.
Yeah. What else do we have? I already forgot it. I really want to put the Batman movies in there.
Let's just do your favorite DC movies then.
So, Red with the hit film.
Oh my god, I hate it. Is it the award-winning movie Gamer starring Jared Butler?
No, but it's the award-winning movie starring Bruce Willis. No, I think I'm done. No, we can end it right there.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. That was great. Right, I loved every moment of it. Have a great day, evening, morning, night, whatever you're doing who's listening to this and got the whole way through it. Catch us on our production channel. Niels is the one that does the effects and all the intros. I do the ideas and the talking.
Yeah.
Where can they catch you? Otherwise, otherwise? No, that's not right. Where can they catch you in like different places? You just still uploading to your YouTube channel?
I'm not uploading to my YouTube channel, but I am starting to upload NFTs. So if you want to buy my art, please do.
Nice. Okay. Where can they find that?
OpenSea. It's Mondrubberduck. So it's on OpenSea.io. Mondrubberduck. So please buy it. Make me rich.
Drop a link in.
Make me rich.
There'll be a link in the description for Mondrubberduck there. Yeah, you can catch me on either here where we'll try and produce my podcast. I'm also twitching every week on the stream. Sure, there'll be a link there and some kind of Discord link for me. You can speak to both of us there actually because Mondrubberduck is obviously there in the stream chat most of the time. So, and I play with him anyway. So that's where you can see us. If you want to see us play games, you can ask us questions on if we can do a podcast on a specific movie. All that great stuff. And you can also do it in the comments. That was great, though, Niels. That was nice to get back to you. And thank you for joining me and doing this podcast.
You know me. Every time, always available. Never out of time. I'm always available and stuff.
Oh, the perfect
man. Absolutely. Have
perfect
you seen
man.
My dick? Yeah, always available,
but never when you never when you need him to be. Do you open with every time you meet someone that have you seen my dick? No, I have not, but I am interested. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Okay. Quack.
Uh.